You're about to watch what we call an extended clip of the Young Turks, and the reality is it's somewhere in the middle. It's a little longer than our YouTube clips, but it's actually shorter than the whole 2-hour show, which you can get if you're a member. You can get it ad-free, and make sure you catch every news story we do that day. You're gonna love it as a full show. That's at tytnetwork.com/join. Thanks for watching. All right, hell of a day for you guys here at the Young Turks. It's a Monday show. We've got a ton of news for you guys. Even some sports, because we had an unreal Super Bowl last night. I'm going to talk about that just a little bit in the beginning here. And then, of course, there's a political angle as well with Breitbart chiming in on their thoughts. Oh, God help us. That's coming up. But you just saw Dan Rather. We got the Young Turks now. On Rebel headquarters, former governor of Alabama, Don Siegelman. He was basically a political prisoner in this country, and it's an amazing story. So we're going to take the whole Rebel headquarters, discuss the saga of Don Siegelman, and he'll be on with us to tell us all about it. Don't miss that. And then we've got a post game for the members, and then also for the members live. You'll get to watch my interview of Kyle Kulinski on the issue of Russia. Oh no. The discussion is upon us. He will take the position that the Russia investigation is overhyped. I will take the position that it is overhyped but important. So it is not a debate, it is a discussion. Kyle Kulinski is also part of the TYT network. He does secular talk. It's a wonderful show. You guys should check it out. But if you care about that Russia discussion, 6 o'clock tonight, we do it live. To become a member, tytnetwork.com/join. And thank you for making all those shows possible. Now let's go over here and talk a little bit of sports and then get into the politics of it. Okay. The Super Bowl last night between the Eagles and the Patriots might have been the greatest game ever played. There, I said it. Now it's out there. I'm not talking about just Super Bowls. And in order to be the greatest Super Bowl, that's a hell of a thing right there. You had the Steelers-Cardinals game from a bunch of years back, which was amazing. The James Harrison run back and forth, that game went. You had, of course, the Patriots with the amazing comeback last year, which no one thought could be topped. The Patriots-Seahawks game from a couple of years ago. 35-31, Pittsburgh versus Dallas back in 1979. And in terms of overall NFL games, the legendary Chargers-Dolphins game in the Super Bowl in the 1980s. I hear you on all of that, but my God, last night was a hell of a game, and I would argue, yes, the greatest game ever played. So here's my reasoning. Look, the Falcons had a huge lead at the end of, in the middle and towards the end of last year's Super Bowl, and the Patriots did one of the greatest comebacks you've ever seen. Patriots have done some of the most stunning upsets and have suffered some of the most stunning upsets in Super Bowl history. But those were one-sided affairs. The Falcons did everything right in the first half. The Patriots did everything right in the second half. In this game, both teams, certainly offensively, but I could make an argument that the offenses just overwhelmed otherwise good defenses, played spectacularly throughout. There was only one punt in the game. That's unbelievable. The Eagles punted once, and that's it. The Patriots never punted. And that is relevant to the story, because the most important part was it was a title fight from round one all the way to the end. Punch after punch. It was Ali Frazier. And neither side relented. They both played like champions. Over 1,100 yards overall in the game. Nick Foles was one of the best QB performances ever in a Super Bowl. He's in the top 6 in terms of QB rating, but I think it went beyond that. It was spectacularly clutch. Not only throwing for touchdowns, but obviously famously now catching a touchdown pass as well. And do I have to bother saying that was the best performance by a backup quarterback in Super Bowl history? Of course! It was one of the best performances, period. He beat the legendary Tom Brady at his own game, including, of course, the most famous play that now hopefully a lot of you have seen already, where there was a trick play on 4th and goal. First of all, going for it on 4th and goal, amazing. Courageous, exactly the right move, the move that I scream into my TV they should make all the time but never do, but they did, and under the most intense pressure in a Super Bowl at the end of a half, and almost any other coach would have kicked a field goal instead, but Peterson went for it, and not only that, secondarily, they did a trick play, amazing curves, number 2 and number 3, they did a play where the quarterback caught the ball, which was exactly what the Patriots tried earlier in the game, but Tom Brady had alligator armed it. Okay, look, Brady doesn't like getting hit, and the Eagles hit him a lot in the first half. Great credit to the Patriots offensive line in the second half. That incredible Eagles defense couldn't get to him all second half, with the obvious exception of the gigantic play at the end where they got to Brady and made him fumble. So, the Eagles defense, I know they give up 33 points, but they played strong, they played hard. I know the Patriots defense gave up 41 points, but and they don't have the best of defenses, but they also played hard. And I never sensed choking from either side. I never sensed let up on either side, and they went round for round. And then finally on Doug Peterson, arguably, I'm declaring in second declaration.
I mean, one of those moves.
That's not it. That might also be true, but I meant this. Doug Peterson, best coaching performance in the Super Bowl ever. He not only went for it on 4th and goal and delivered at the end of the half on that trick play, he went for it on 4th down late in the game in his own territory. I know thousands of cowardly coaches who would have punted. It is not the right move. The right move is to be courageous. The Eagles played without fear. That is how you play the Patriots. You want to be a champion, you got to fight like a champion, and you got to play like a champion. And they did. They assumed they were better than the Patriots. And all along the way, as JR said on TYT Sports afterwards, they punched them in the mouth. So JR, Michael Schur, Ricky Strom, and I did a post game immediately following there after the game where we went nuts as everyone was going nuts. That's on TYT Sports, youtube.com/TYT Sports. We'll have the link down below on YouTube for you guys and comment section on Facebook. By the way, there's an eye in the corner, and if you're watching on YouTube, and if you go over that eye, that'll also always give you the links. All you got to do is click on it. So check out all of TYT Sports coverage of the Super Bowl. But that was amazing. And by the way, credit to the Patriots, just because they lost didn't mean they played poorly. They also played like champions. But now, without further ado, I must say,
ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Down goes the Patriots. Down goes the Patriots. Down goes the Patriots. And they weren't going down willingly. It was a heroic effort by the Eagles to bring them down. Best game ever in a Super Bowl, arguably the best game ever, period, in the NFL. Best coaching performance in a Super Bowl, arguably the best coaching performance overall in a season, playoffs and Super Bowl by Peterson, and arguably the best quarterbacking performance ever by all people, Nick Foles, which goes to show you Doug Peterson is a hell of a coach. Okay. While you're at TYT Sports, you might want to try to find that prediction I made of who would go to the Super Bowl in week 3. Oh, was it the Eagles? Did I say the Eagles? Huh. Funny. What can I do? All right, let's get on to politics. Okay. So Breitbart had a unique take on the Super Bowl. Did they care that it was one of the best football games ever played? If they did, they didn't really talk much about it. Performances, Eagles, Patriots fans, no. They had a different take. Here's a tweet that they put up and later deleted where they said, this is a hypothetical conversation happening in the future. They show players kneeling there. They did not kneel during the anthem of the Super Bowl. That's an old picture that they used. And they have this fictional conversation. Grandpa, what's a Super Bowl? Well, little Mohammed, back when the kuffar ran things, they stitched up filthy pigskins, moved them around painted lines, and shoved each other. There was secular music and alcohol, a very haram affair. What does the Super Bowl have to do with Muslims? And get a load of the lunatics. Oh, you see, later, when the Muslims take over America, they will ban football because it is haram. When are the Muslims taking over America? Do you have any evidence that Muslim Americans are anti-football? And let alone the fact that if the big thing here is like, oh my God, could you imagine if there were more Muslims than Christians? How terrible that would be. And why, again, would that be so terrible? No, but don't call them bigots. Don't call them because they get very touchy about that. Those snowflakes melt right away when you point out the obvious bigotry of that. Okay, can you imagine if they did it to another religion? Hey, Shmuley, what happened to the filthy, non-kosher game of football, etc.? People are like, what? What are you doing? That's obviously the most anti-Semitic thing we've ever seen. But when you do it to Muslims, a little bit more acceptable, unfortunately, in right-wing circles. But apparently they thought better of it as well, so they deleted it. But I'm just amused more than, outraged that, really, Breitbart, is anyone surprised? I'm thinking I've run out of outrage for Breitbart. I'm amused, though, that this is their fears. Like, oh my God, could you imagine if the Muslims took over? They would call football haram, and we wouldn't be able to play it anymore. And then Mohamed Sanu would be MVP every year.
We need to talk about a relatively new show called the Republic, or UNFTR. As a Young Turks fan, you already know that the government, the media, and corporations are constantly peddling lies that serve the interests of the rich and powerful. But now there's a podcast dedicated to unraveling those lies, debunking the conventional wisdom. In each episode of the Republic, or UNFTR, the host delves into a different historical episode or topic that's generally misunderstood or purposely obfuscated by the so-called powers that be, featuring in-depth research, razor-sharp commentary, and just the right amount of vulgarity. The UNFTR podcast takes a sledgehammer to what you thought you knew about some of the nation's most sacred historical cows. But don't just take my word for it. The New York Times described UNFTR as consistently compelling and educational, aiming to challenge conventional wisdom and upend the historical narratives that were taught in school. For as the great philosopher Yoda once put it, you must unlearn what you have learned. And that's true whether you're in Jedi training or you're uprooting and exposing all the propaganda and disinformation you've been fed over the course of your lifetime. So search for UNFTR in your podcast app today and get ready to get informed, angered, and entertained all at the same time.
For Cocoa Puffs. Okay, we move forward. So I went to New Orleans over the weekend. This is a fun random story. And I went for the Unrigged Summit where we tried to get money out of politics and a lot of the groups who work on that. By the way, not only progressive groups, but also conservative groups, because there are a lot of great conservatives in the country who want to get money out of politics or who want to do campaign finance reform in different ways, because like most Republican voters, they understand that our system has become completely corrupted, rigged, if you will, and obviously President Trump ran on that. He didn't know much about it afterwards, if you ask me, or check any facts. But he did at least run on that, and Republican voters don't like the corruption any more than progressive voters do. They're very right about that. In fact, 93% of Americans say that politicians serve their donors and not their voters. But I went to the conference, and that was wonderful, and we had a good and constructive panel about the 28th Amendment. Don't worry, we're going to fix it. wolf-pack.com. So go to that. Go to wolf-pack.com/join to become part of Wolfpack and become a member. Go to wolf-pack.com/states to see what state you can get involved in and volunteer. So that was all great. But as I was going around New Orleans, Mardi Gras had begun. It's not the main weekend of Mardi Gras, but the first weekend. And there are lots of people in the street. So I ran into a lot of people just walking around, having nothing to do with the conference. And lots of people said wonderful things. A couple of people were convinced that Ben Mankiewicz is awesome and would be fun to hang out with. I'd love to hear that. Lots of nice things that people said about John Iadarola and Anna Kasparian and Jimmy Dore and Michael Schur and J.R. Jackson and the whole group. It was wonderful to hear. Thank you, guys. But what I was more intrigued by were the haters. So there's two people who happen to be conservatives who watch this show because of debates I've been in or the election night coverage, which, they love. And the guy was an older gentleman I was sitting next to, and he said he loves watching that election night and watching us get depressed. And bless his heart, you got every right to do that. Go forward, watch it for yourself. Watch us on next election night. See what happens. tytnetwork.com/live. Anyway, but you know what? We wound up having a civil conversation for about 20 minutes or so because I wound up having a time in the day which I normally wouldn't. And it was great. It was refreshing. And you know what happened? We agree on 75% of the issues. So, because there's all these talking points on the right, and all they got is talking points. So like, money is speech. I'm like, wait. Have the corruption, do you think the politicians are corrupt? He's like, yeah, totally. But I think the way to solve it is smaller government. Okay, you want to end the wars? Actually, yeah, the Pentagon is a little out of control. Good, we agree on that. Hey, I'm pro-choice. I think that means smaller government. He's like, well, I get that argument, and on and on and on. And once you get past the talking points, there is no boogeyman on the left. If there is, it certainly isn't here, where we say, oh my God, wouldn't it be great if we had a giant government that ran all parts of your life? No, we want a government that serves the people and not the donors. It's not that complicated. Okay, then second guy, what happens from time to time, going through the rain in Mardi Gras, and he sees me, he's like, hey, Cenk Uygur, Ben Shapiro ate you. Ate your lunch. Ate your lunch. There was a similar tweet that guy's now deleted from a bunch of months ago where he's like, Ben Shapiro did this and this to you. I'm like, I don't think that's what it means what you think it means. But I am amused that there's all these people who believe that Ben Shapiro somehow ate me. Okay, so that's fun for everybody. No harm in that. You like Ben, you like Crowder. God bless your heart. I think you're wrong, but that's all right. Which leads me to my final point here, which is two guys came up to me, and one of them said he grew up in a conservative Catholic household, another one in an evangelical household. One of them said, look, he just wanted to test out all different points of view, which makes him open-minded and wonderful, etc. The other one said that he came in as a hater, like, oh yeah, loser, young Turks, I don't watch that, loser. They're gonna be wrong. I hate you. Someone destroyed you. I don't know why. I just was told to say that over and over again. So, and then they came in. You know what they found out? Now, this is according to them, and you want to believe me, great. You don't want to believe me, right wing. They're like, oh yeah, no way, but that didn't happen. That's all right. God bless your heart. I don't care if you believe me. I'm telling for folks what really happened. And this is what I love. They said, I came in, the guy from the Catholic background, and said, I was like, well, I got a point on that one. And then the next one, I was like, well, that was not so bad. And then by the third one, I was like, God damn it, I think I'm a progressive. He said he's now a progressive. Both of them said they went from conservative to realizing that in reality, the other side's been lying to them, and they looked it up for themselves. They even Googled it, if you will, and found out that we were right, and found out that we're fighting for the little guy, and the other guys are trying to protect the rich and the powerful at the expense of the average American, and they became progressives, and they said that we changed their lives. Look, man, I don't know how many of those stories are out there, but I love that. That makes everything worth it. So you guys keep on sending the haterade. We'll turn it into lemonade. Come on, send the haterade. Keep sending more people because the right wing's like, oh yeah, why is the young Turks that? Then you control them. Keep coming, brother. Keep coming. And we'll keep turning them into progressives. You couldn't do us a bigger favor. Okay, now, that was just a fun story from my trip. I've got stories about how, in fact, the Republicans are saying that you should be thrilled about these tax cuts, but I'm going to give you the facts. What did you get? What did the top 1% get? Later in the program, when Anna comes, we're also going to talk about a new idea they have for paid family leave. Now, is your employer going to pay for it? Is the government going to pay for it? No. The Republican idea is you pay for it. That's not really paid family leave. Anyway, it's even worse than that. We'll explain it in a little bit. Thanks for listening to this podcast. You're only halfway through, so hold, stay right here. Just want to remind you, if you want to get all 5 segments of the Young Turks commercial free, these are just 2 of them. Every day we do it. So go to tytnetwork.com/join. And you get the whole 5 segments, 2 hours, ad-free. Do it now. All right, back on the Young Turks, Cenk Ana and Ana Kasparian with you. I am Says to everyone saying that Gowdy is trying to play nice for a judgeship. It's South Carolina. Doing this arguably hurts him. That's true. And I have to read more into it, but I think over the weekend I read a headline that, or no, it was a paragraph in a different article about how Gowdy did not take that position on the circuit court that we all thought he was going for. Mm-hmm. I was very surprised by that, which makes it more likely that he's leaving because Trump did something really bad and he doesn't want to be in a position to investigate or defend him. Malou says, I can't wait for Professor Mueller to teach these idiots all about the concepts they find so confusing, like treason and obstruction. And Null Cookies with the tweet of the day, Nunes reminds me of a butter poached lobster. Okay, super random. I was just amused by it. And I kind of get it.
So delicious.
I know, that's the only problem with that.
Yeah, tweet. Like I don't get it. Maybe you'll explain to me later.
Yeah, he looks like a lobster. It's true. Leonard Lavallo and Jennifer Deli Carpini are members of the day. Thank you guys for making the show possible. You get to podcast the show any way you like, audio, video, live, stream, download, all of that commercial free at tytnetwork.com/join. Okay, what's next, Anna?
All right. Marco Rubio is attempting to show the softer side of the Republican Party, the softer side of Rubio himself. And the way that he's doing it is taking on the issue of paid family leave. Now, as we all know, Ivanka Trump wants to champion that policy as well. And so it turns out that they are both working together to come up with a proposal that Republicans would find palatable. Now, keep in mind that the Party of Family Values isn't necessarily supportive of paid family leave. And so they need to come up with a proposal that appeals to them and, of course, also appeals to Democrats in Congress. Now, they need to find a plan that would neither impose a mandate on employers nor raise taxes to pay for it in order for Republicans to sign on. Now, what they are, and this is Marco Rubio specifically, what Marco Rubio is experimenting with is a policy that would do the following. Allow people to draw Social Security benefits when they want to take time off for a new baby or family-related matters, and then delay their checks when they hit retirement age. So, for instance, if this type of proposal passes into law, a family would be able, an individual would be able to take a month or 2 months, 3 months off, take money out of their Social Security fund in order to take that time off, but then they would have to delay retirement by that same amount of time. If it's 1 month, it would be 1 month. 3 months, it would be 3 months. You guys get the point.
Okay, so let's break down the issues here. So number one, they say it's paid family leave. And then Rubio explained, but Republicans refuse to have employers pay for it.
At TYT, we frequently talk about all the ways that big tech companies are taking control of our online lives, constantly monitoring us and storing and selling our data. But that doesn't mean we have to let them. It's possible to stay anonymous online and hide your data from the prying eyes of big tech. And one of the best ways is with ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN hides your IP address, making your activity more difficult to trace and sell to advertisers. ExpressVPN also encrypts 100% of your network data to protect you from eavesdroppers and cyber criminals. And it's also easy to install. A single mouse click protects all your devices. But listen, guys, this is important. ExpressVPN is rated #1 by CNET and Wired magazine. So take back control of your life online and secure your data with a top VPN solution available, ExpressVPN. And if you go to expressvpn.com/TYT, you can get 3 extra months for free with this exclusive link just for TYT fans. That's expressvpn.com/TYT. Check it out today.
Well, then it's not really paid family leave.
Right.
And they say, well, no, it's okay. We'll make you pay for it out of your own Social Security. Once again, that's not really paid family leave because I'm paying for it.
Right.
Right? That's unpaid family leave. You're just going to let them borrow from their own money at a later time.
Right. And also keep in mind that Social Security is a program that Republicans attack time and time again. They talk about how it's not sustainable, how it won't even be around for, younger generations for when they're ready to retire. I mean, they talk about how it's riddled with issues. And then if Marco Rubio proposes this, how is he going to make the case that the Social Security system is sustainable enough to deal with this type? And they're going to sell it as an entitlement. Even though, again, this is money that comes out of every American's paycheck, and it's not paid family leave by any means. It's just essentially borrowing money from your own retirement and then delaying retirement even further.
The only other idea they had so far was to pay for it by increasing payroll taxes. But payroll taxes are the most regressive tax there is. After a while, the rich stop paying for them entirely. So it mainly hits the middle class, the working middle class.
Yeah.
So their idea is paid family leave. Once again, the employer doesn't pay, you pay through higher taxes. Higher taxes on the rich? Oh, God, no. God, no. On employers? God, no. No. Those are Republican donors. Higher taxes on you or take it out of your Social Security. Which one would you like?
So I also found this quote by Marco Rubio super interesting. He was speaking to Politico about this very issue and his proposal, which, by the way, he's still kind of toying with it. He hasn't actually proposed anything yet. This is just what he's thinking about doing. And here's what he told Politico. I think there will be significant initial resistance to it because it's not an issue that's been identified with the Republican Party. So even the idea of individuals borrowing from their own retirement to help pay for a new baby is something that Republicans would be resistant to. Why? I mean, this is the party of family values. This is the party that will literally, if they could have their way, force you to have a baby if you get pregnant. But then they'll turn around and resist the idea of you borrowing money from your own retirement. Come on.
So what happened? I thought this was the softer side of conservatism. There is no soft side. Okay, so there's 2 elements to that. One is Marco Rubio admitting, of course the Republicans are against family leave, even though they pretend to be for family values. By family values, they mean the ability to control your body if you're a woman, not if you actually want to have the baby, for you to take care of the baby. If you were against abortion, by the way, wouldn't you want to create incentives for people to actually have a baby and then be able to take care of it after it's born? Nah, bootstrap time. I already gave all the money to the rich. After you have the baby, it's your goddamn business, not mine.
That's right.
Can we at least take it out of their own Social Security? Well, by the way, a proposal I definitely do not agree with. But he says other Republicans are like, no, under all circumstances.
Yeah.
We were just kidding when we said family values. And by the way, initial resistance, what do you mean? You guys are in charge. You could just look at the proposal and go, oh, yeah, that makes sense. And you could vote on it tomorrow.
Right.
It's not initial resistance. It's the resistance, period.
Exactly.
To helping anyone having kids.
So now I just want to quickly mention how Ivanka Trump fits into this whole situation. She wants to champion this issue, and she wants pretty much anything to pass so they can sell it as, oh, we succeeded in providing paid family leave, even though we know that Marco Rubio's current plan is not paid family leave. Now, initially, she wanted more of the burden to be placed on the employers, but it seems as though anyone who approaches her with any proposal, she's all for it because she wants it to pass. So, for instance, according to Politico's reporting, in private conversations with senators, Ivanka Trump has discussed raising payroll taxes or otherwise paying into Social Security to create a new personal paid leave fund. In other words, she'll take anything she can get because she wants to turn around and say, we succeeded. I succeeded in providing what I said I would provide. But we all know that the reality is very different from the way that they'll frame it and sell it.
So last couple of things here. Recently in the last tax bill, the Republicans actually did put in, because of Marco Rubio, something about paid leave. That was, of course, a tax cut for corporations. I mean, it's almost comical. Now, to be fair, okay, full context is they would offer a tax credit for businesses who voluntarily offer employees paid leave. So they'll help you if your employer bothers to offer it, then they'll give them a tax cut because that's the only solution Republicans have for anything, right? Oh, I've got cancer, don't worry, tax cut, right? So now, as Marco Rubio later acknowledges, but not everybody will offer that voluntarily, and people can't go without getting paid for 2 weeks, let alone 2 months. That's impossible. Apparently, Rubio is the only Republican that recognizes that that's impossible for the average American. But his answer to that is, of course, we'll just take it out of your Social Security. And if that plan works, by the way, oh, you got health care bills? We'll take it out of your Social Security. You got any kind of issues? We'll take it out of your Social Security. You know that right now they moved it up already, so the retirement age is now 67. You keep going like this, it'll be 97. Whenever they run into any issues, we're not going to make any of the rich or multinational corporations pay for it. We're just going to make you pay for it by working yourself to death.
Well, let's move on to more tax-related news. And this is something that didn't get much attention or play during the whole tax cut debate, but it caught my attention, and it's super interesting. Donald Trump and the Republicans succeeded in passing tax cuts, but those tax cuts do cost quite a bit, and they have to make up for, the huge break that the wealthy and corporations are getting through this new tax law. One way that they've done it is they have gotten rid of certain deductions. Alimony was something that people who had just gotten a divorce could deduct from their taxes. But little known fact is that this new tax plan actually gets rid of that deduction. And it's going to lead to significant problems for divorcing couples, which is why right now divorce lawyers are urging people to get through their divorce as soon as possible before this portion of the law kicks in 2019. So let me give you the details. The deduction substantially reduces the cost of alimony payments for people in the highest income bracket. It means every dollar they pay to support a former spouse really costs them little more than 60 cents. So they get to deduct a portion of it, meaning that, they don't actually spend that entire amount on alimony. Also, previously, the individual receiving the alimony payments would have to pay taxes on that income. Under this new tax plan, no, they don't have to, which is really strange. So people receiving alimony next year won't have to pay taxes on it. Shocking. I don't, but that's earned income. I mean, you just earned income. Why wouldn't you get taxed on it? But the person who's giving it to you doesn't get to use that money. They give it right to the other person, but they get taxed on it.
So it's weird, and one of the things that's I think it makes sense to deduct it, and the reason for that is you do actually have to pay it,
right.
And once you pay it, that's money you don't have, and hence less money you made that year in a sense. So, but now they're saying no, you're not allowed to deduct it. So of course you know what's going to happen. That means that people will offer less in alimony. If they thought they were actually paying 60 cents on the dollar, they could afford to offer more. That is why divorce lawyers are panicking right now. And so you could say, hey, no big deal, but it's just that's what's happening, and our job's to report it. And it will certainly affect those alimony payments. And yes, now people will pay less because of this issue. To me, there's a bigger issue about taxes overall that we'll get to in a second. But I do want to convey to you the sense of panic, which I'm slightly amused by. Mary Vitas, a lawyer in Philadelphia, a former chair of the American Bar Association's section on family law, says, now's not the time to wait. If you're going to get a divorce, get it now.
No, I love the quotes in the article, but also I learned so much about divorces that I didn't look into ever. And I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm sure it'll never affect me, but But they're okay. California, man, California's got to chill out with all this divorce stuff. Did you know that in California you can't like get divorced within a week or a month? Like you have to, there's like a 6-month period that you have to wait before you're finally officially divorced.
It's called a cooling off phase.
No, I don't like that.
There are cooling off periods in other states like Pennsylvania where it's actually longer. You have to wait a year.
Unacceptable.
So that's why the divorce lawyers are panicking now, especially in California where there are some high dollar divorces.
Yeah.
And they're like, look, you don't get it. You got to go through, like, you have to say you're getting divorced. The other side has to agree. There's all these things. And then you got to wait 6 months. So they're telling all their clients, if you're slightly upset in your marriage, get divorced now.
It's kind of crazy.
By the way, party of family values.
Yeah.
So now the larger point about taxes overall. See, what did I tell you? They're giving a giant tax cut to corporations. They got to get it from somewhere. When a Republican congressman was asked on television, can you name one corporate loophole that you guys took away? Couldn't name one. Now, when it comes to loopholes for you guys, or I would argue it's not really a loophole, it's a logical deduction. No, for the regular person, we're taking it away. So they had to get the money from somewhere. They still have a $1.5 trillion extra deficit they created. But like I told you, that's not the only money. They had to also get, because the reality of the tax cuts for the rich and corporations, the size is about $6 trillion. So the other $4.5 trillion had to come from somewhere. And where does it come from? You. They took away your deductions, but took away none of the loopholes of corporations. When they first started talking about tax reform, they said, oh, it's not a tax cut. It's tax reform.
Right.
We're going to get rid of the loopholes so the corporations can't cheat and then lower their rates.
And also keep in mind how they sell the way that they got rid of all these deductions. Well, we're trying to simplify the tax code. It's too complicated. It's too complicated to give, the middle class and the working class any deductions. I mean, the corporations can keep their deductions and their loopholes. That's not complicated.
Corporate loopholes aren't complicated. Yeah. The Dutch sandwich and the Irish double or whatever they're called. There's these crazy tax loopholes. They all still exist. They're enormously complicated.
But they're going to create the jobs, the high-paying jobs.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
By the way, how's that market working out for you guys?
Oof. Trump's not bragging about the stock market today, is he?
Oops.
Yeah. All right, we got to take a break.
All right. When we come back, low-some Republicans running for office, but the way that they've been normalized is the real problem. Also, later in today's programming, and there is a lot of programming today, at Rebel headquarters, I'm going to have Don Siegelman on, former governor of Alabama, arguably was a political prisoner for 7 years. That crime against him was committed by Karl Rove. It's an amazing story. We'll tell you all about it because we're going to talk to him. And then at 6 o'clock, after the postgame, I will be talking to Kyle Kulinski about Russia. Ooh, drums. He has a different take than I do on the importance of the Russia investigation, and we'll have a very interesting conversation about that. By the way, members will get to watch all of that live, tytnetwork.com/join. Thanks for watching what I hope was a lovely edition of the Young Turks. Now, you know that is 2 of the 5 segments that we do because that's free. We want to have you support independent media and come watch the whole show that we do every day. That's 5 segments overall, no ads at all. That's at tytnetwork.com/join. Come become a member. Thanks for watching either way. Thanks for listening to the full episode of The Young Turks. Support our work, listen ad-free, access members-only bonus content, and more by subscribing to Apple Podcasts at apple.co/TYT. I'm your host, Cenk Ana, and I'll see you soon.